All content is publicly sourced and used under the USA Fair Use and UK Fair Dealing Guidelines. The things I say are strictly my opinion. Good evening, everyone. It's the Bizzy Bee with the Royal Tea. Hope you've all had a great Tuesday, August the 11th. Myself, I just got off work. It has been an incredibly long day. Had to work a little late. That's how it goes. Can't complain too much. At least we're getting paid for working, right? So last night I watched the movie Evita with Madonna. Me and my partner watched it, and I was astonished, absolutely astonished by the parallels between her life and Smegs's life. I wrote down notes as I was watching it, and I kept pausing it and writing things down and restarting it. And then when you listen to the song lyrics, do you all like Broadway musicals? I love them. Evita is my all-time favorite, I would have to say. Hamilton number 2, Chicago number 3. Anyway, but the parallels between their lives are astonishing. I wrote down notes. I want to share it with you all. Let me see here. Now, there are certain things that would have to be tweaked, of course, to make it fit, but when you listen to the song lyrics, they would fit it perfectly, tweak a few things. Some of the details of their lives, of course, don't match exactly, but I'll read it. You'll see what I mean. I'll read the notes I wrote. So, Evita was her real name, Eva Duarte, her maiden name. She was the daughter of an unmarried woman and a father. Her parents were not married to each other. The father was married, but not married to the mother. Okay, so basically she was the B word. Okay, so she was from a small town in Argentina, small poor town. Then it cuts to a grand, elaborate funeral that they have for her when she passes away at the age of 33 from cancer. Many mourners, and these mourners are just all in shock and awe. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I continue, I left a little nasty, funny. I was being a smart aleck on Twitter earlier today. I said, so there was a fire at Rachel Ray's house yesterday. I certainly hope it wasn't her cooking that caused it. That was bad. I need a slap on the wrist. Sorry about that. Anyway, getting back to it. So, the grand elaborate funeral, the way these people were acting, I was thinking the only people who would act like this over Smegs are the Sugars. Honestly. So it cuts to Evita's teenage years. Evita is the word, they put ita at the end of something, Spanish-speaking language. I believe it means little or darling, so Eva, Ita, Evita would mean little Eva. I'm probably wrong, as usual, so please correct me if I am. Anyway, it jumps to Evita's teenage years. She is sleeping with a tango singer, a barroom tango singer. The song that it is a musical, so they break into song. Antonio Banderas plays a character named Chi, and he's kind of the narrator. So he sings a line. He says about the tango singer she's sleeping with, he has the distinction of being the first man to be of use to Eva Duarte. She wants this guy to take her to Buenos Aires. That's the New York City of Argentina. She wants to be famous. She wants to be a famous actress, model, however she can get famous. She just wants to be famous and known. So she says she wouldn't have done what she did if she didn't think that they were going to be together, aka him take her to the city. She means she wouldn't have, fooled around with him. So the singer says something interesting to her that I noted down. Beware your ambition. It is hungry and cold, can't be controlled, will run wild. Well, we know who has ambition like that. There you go. That's the first major parallel, besides getting with the singer to advance herself. Okay, so the singer does take her to the big city. When she gets there, she's singing about her star quality. Everybody's going to be amazed and dazzled at all the star quality little Eva possesses. That sounds like Smeckles. He takes her to a bar. They have a few drinks. She's dancing and flirting with every man there right in his face. Okay, so he turns So it turns out he's married. He goes home to his wife and he leaves her alone. So, as she's a struggling actress, she's alone, okay? She doesn't have anybody in Buenos Aires. She's a struggling actress, so she gets by let's say it politely, dating men. And she dates quite a few of them to make it. And it helps pay her bills. So, it shows her at a casting call, and she's coming out of the room with the director, and he's, doing back up his clothes, so it's alluding to what she did to try to get the part, but I don't think she got it. But while she's leaving the casting call, she meets a photographer. This is her Trevor Ingleson. The photographer and she, Ava, begin a relationship, and he takes pictures of her and gets those pictures into a magazine. Once her pics were in the magazines, she tosses him aside for a man who can get her up the next rung of the social ladder. The next one gets tossed aside for someone who gets her own radio show. Then it has a song that plays called Good Night and Thank You. And I want to share with you a few lyrics from that song. Let me see here. Good night and thank you. Now, this is Antonio Banderas' character. He sings these. Good night and thank you, whoever. She's in every magazine. Been photographed, seen, she is known. We don't like to rush, but your case has been packed. If she's missed anything, you can give her a ring, but she won't always answer the phone. Then the next guy. Good night and thank you, Emilio. You've completed your task. What more can we ask of you now? Please sign the book on the way out the door, and that will be all. If she needs you, she'll call, but I don't think that's likely somehow. Then the next guy. Good night and thank you, Senor Habon. We are grateful you found her a spot on the sound radio. We'll think of you every time she's on the air. We'd love you to stay, but you be in the way, so do up your trousers and go. And then he says, she needs a man she can monopolize with fingers in dozens of different pies. All right, so it's pretty obvious what she's doing there. So, she tosses the radio guy aside for another guy. And then as they're wrapping up this song, there's a long line of men standing there watching her dating the next one. And this, signifying all of her exes that she's stepped over to get to the next one to climb up that social ladder. So then it says... it shows a little bit about Perone's rise to power, the guy that she'll eventually marry. That's her Harry, basically. Perone is to Eva as Harry is to Smegs. So, Eva's next beau gets her an acting job, and she is clearly a terrible actress. You can see it on the director's face as he's sitting there watching her try to act out this terrible scene where she's dressed in period costume. And, wringing of the hands by the director, and the face, and the exasperation, and they're clearly trying to portray that she's awful, awful, awful. You can see it on her face. I'm sorry, on the director's face. she's no good. And at the end of the scene, the guy that got her the job is standing there. He starts clapping like that. Nobody else is clapping. And he's this powerful guy, so everybody on the set starts clapping. So then it cuts into this song about, it's called The Ladies Got Potential. Let me see. Yeah, the Antonio Banderas' character, the narrator, says, The ladies got potential. She was setting her sights on making it in movies with her name in lights. The greatest social climber since Cinderella. Okay, she couldn't act, but she had the right friends. And we all know a career depends on knowing the right fella to be stellar. So, then there's an earthquake in Argentina. It devastates people, obviously. Things are destroyed, people injured, deaths. Juan Perón, her future husband, organizes a benefit concert for the victims of the earthquake. Actors, stars, everyone comes. So, by this time, Perón is number 2 in the country, the man behind the president who calls the shots. The number 2, the right-hand man of the president, if you will. So, she sees the tango. She's invited to the the benefit concert. There she sees the tango singer who took her to Buenos Aires years before originally. Not years, but, quite a while before. And he sings the same corny song he was singing way back in the day. She looks at him and says, "Your act hasn't changed much." And he looks at her, and she's with another man, and he gives her a disgusted look and says, "Neither is yours." Because of her man hopping, obviously. So then Ava and Perrone meet backstage at this concert. The audience, he's just left the stage. The audience has been shouting his name, Perrone, Perrone, Perrone. So he steps off the stage. They both come with Ava and Perrone have both come with other dates. He came with a woman, she came with a man, but they leave with each other. He even asks her if she's there alone, and she says, "Oh, yes." And she asks him the same thing. He says yes, but they came with dates. Okay, so they leave together, they sleep together the first night, and then it cuts into this song about how there's no one, she sings about how there's no one, no male, no female, who doesn't try to take whatever advantage they can out of the person that they're commingling with, basically. So, she moves in with Perrone, and now the word gets around, of course, he's a hugely popular politician. The well-to-do Argentinians do not like her, the Aristocrats. And they sing a little song about her, or Perrone's latest flame. The Aristocrats, they sing, "At the watering holes of the well-to-do, I detect a resistance to our heroine's style. And the shooting sticks of the upper class aren't supporting a single rear end that will rise for the girl. Such a shame," she wondered, "into our enclosure. How unfortunate this person has forced us to be blunt. No, we wouldn't mind seeing her at Harrods, but behind the jewelry counter, not in front." And then the military can't stand her, and then they're just like everybody else. They don't like her. The rich people don't like her. The military doesn't like her. They sing the song, "Perrone is a fool, breaking every taboo, installing a girl in the Army HQ, and she's an actress, the last straw. Her only good parts are between her thighs. She should stare at the ceiling, not reach for the sky, or she could be his last..." Yeah, the evidence suggests she has other interests. If it's her that's using him, he's exceptionally dim. Get that last line? If it's her that's using him, he's exceptionally dim. The Aristocrats sing, "We have allowed ourselves to slip. We have completely lost our grip. We have declined to an all-time low. Tarts have become the set to know." And then the military continues, "It's no crime for officers to do as they please, as long as they're discreet and keep clear of disease. We ignore or we disregard, but once they allow a bit on the side to move to the center where she's not qualified, we're forced to mark his card. She should get into her head. She should not get out of bed. She should know that she's not paid to be loud, but to be laid." So you see what they're saying about her? He's not paying her to be loud. He's paying her to do what she needs to do, basically. And Ava and Chi are singing. He says to her, "This has really been your year, Miss Duarte. Tell us where you go from here, Miss Duarte. What are the roles that you yearn to play? Whom did you sleep or dine with yesterday?" And then she responds, "Acting is limited. The line's not mine. That's no help to the Argentine." So he says, "Can we assume then that you'll quit? Is that because of your involvement with Colonel Perrone?" So, basically, she's trying to get involved in politics, and she's just his, piece. But she's trying to insert herself into politics where she does not belong. She's not the politician. He is. This sounds very familiar. It sounds like this is just parallel lines running along. The very beginning is not quite the same, but these are parallel lines here. So she quits acting due to her relationship with Perrone, obviously, just like Smegs. he talks about how it's dangerous. He wants to get out of politics. But she says no. She pushes him into it. She says, will, like we, me and you, she says will, then corrects herself, you'll be handed power on a plate. So obviously, she wants power. She wants to be involved in the politics. She wants political control of something. She's pushing him. He wants out. She's having none of it. So she uses her radio show to promote Perón and his political cause. She makes speeches, and she uses the same, she makes campaign speeches for him using the same Catholic imagery, hand gestures as Meghan. And I have some pictures of this. Let me see here. This is her giving a speech. She does those broad hand gestures you see here. Just like Smegs, the Catholic hand gestures. This is Madonna when she was playing or doing the same thing. Okay. So, anyway, she does the same hand gestures as Smegs. So then she gets married to Perón. Then the movie implies that Perón will take power no matter what, whether he's elected or not. But he is elected. So the crowds are shouting her name after the election. She comes to the balcony of the Casa Rosada, which is the presidential palace in the capital of Argentina, and she gives another speech with even more Catholic hand gestures, and that's one of my neighbor's car alarms is going off, and that's the big speech, or the big scene where she sings, "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina," and then there's a montage of the girl from nowhere making it to the palace type thing, and then somebody says to her, statesmanship is more than entertaining peasants or, being entertaining. And Evita's mother, who she brings with her to power, just like Smegs brings Doria, she looks at the guy and says, "We shall see, little men." So basically, it's trying to say she's not doing statesmanship. She's not really doing politics, whatever. She's just more about putting on a show, and that's not what politics is. So, let's go on. He tries to get some lovin' on election night, their first night in the presidential palace, but no, she's not having it. She reached the top of the social ladder. She doesn't have any more rungs to climb, so she doesn't need that anymore, basically. So then it cuts into this song called High Flying Adored. Let me see, and it has a few lines in here. High flying adored, so young, the instant queen, a rich, beautiful thing of all the talents, a cross between a fantasy of the bedroom and the saint with the imagery, beautiful, but the saint, just like Smegs wants to be. He tells her, don't look down, it's a long, long way to fall. That's what Antonio Banderas' character, the narrator. Eva sings, high flying adored, that's good to hear but unimportant. My story's quite usual. Local girl makes good, weds famous man. I was slap in the right place at the perfect time. Filled the gap, I was lucky. But one thing I'll say for me, no one else can fill it like I can. That sounds just like our Duchess of Malibu, doesn't it? She thinks no one else could do this as wonderfully as I can, look as great as me, have the same beautiful fake hair as me, the same fake choppers. Yes, okay. So, she wants to be a saint, just like Smegs. She knows all the right hand gestures to try to achieve sainthood. So then it cuts to her. She's the first lady of Argentina. She's collecting jewels, furs, clothes, shoes. So she sings this little song about her. She's very vain. She wants the shoes, the jewels, the clothes. She says, I came from the people. They need to adore me. So Christian Dior me from my head to my toes. I need to be dazzling. I want to be rainbow high. They must have excitement, and so must I. And then the little chorus, the people behind her sing eyes, hair, mouth, figure, dress, voice, style, movement, hands, magic, rings, glamour, face, diamonds, excitement, image. And she sings, I'm their product. It's vital you sell me. So Machiavel me. Make an Argentine rose. I need to be thrilling. I want to be rainbow high. They need their escape. And so do I. So she also sings a line about how I'm their savior. That's what they call me. So Lauren, but call me. Anything goes. And then she says, I'm not a second-rate queen getting kicks with a crown. That sounds just like something Smegs would say, doesn't it? I'm not a second-rate queen getting kicks with a crown. I'm Meghan Markle. All right. So Ava Evita obviously thinks she's better than a queen. So Ava tours Europe promoting Argentina and her husband's presidential administration. The people in Rome aren't too happy to see her. In Spain, they love her. In Rome, she goes to see the Pope, but the people in Rome aren't happy to see her. They throw eggs at her car, and they call her the W word, W-H-O-R-E. And she says to the guy that she's with that's leading her around, he says, did you hear that? No, I'm sorry. Ava says, did you hear that? They called me a W-H-O-R-E. They actually called me a W-H-O-R-E. And the old seaman says, but Senora Perron, it's an easy mistake. I'm still called an admiral, but I gave up the sea long ago. So do you get what he's saying to her? He's saying, you used to be, but you're not anymore, but they still call you that, just like I used to be an admiral, but I'm not anymore, but they still call me that. Ooh, goodness. It's too much. It's too much. It's just like the same thing. So, the Pope barely pays any attention to her. I guess he knows about her past. He just gives her a little rosary and a nice word. And it's a little offending because she is a Catholic. So, in France, she collapses. She's unable to make it to England, so she doesn't get to meet the King and Queen, who she's better than, just like Smegs. And then they have another song. The actress hasn't learned the lines. The Aristocrats say, I thought this was good. Thus all fairy stories end. Only an actress would pretend. Affairs of state are her latest play. 8 shows a week, 2 matinees. My, how the worm begins to turn. When will the chorus girl ever learn? So, she's obviously trying to get involved in politics, but they're trying to say, this isn't a play, this is government, it's not a TV show, it's not Suits, this is, real politics, you don't need to be involved, you don't know anything about it. So she was spending time trying to get a hobnob with the aristocrats, but in the scene, they don't like her, they don't want her around. So, the peasants who helped elected her, her husband, I should say, her, basically. So they're not happy because she's trying to kiss up to the aristocrats. So she turns on the aristocrats. She starts saying, here we go with another parallel, a really good one. She starts saying, foundation to help the poor. So it has a song. She embezzles money from the foundation, of course, just like Smegs embezzles it from her foundation. Antonio Banderas sings, and the money kept rolling in from every side. Ava's pretty hands reached out and they reached wide. Now you may feel it should have been a voluntary cause, but that's not the point, my friends. When the money keeps rolling in, you don't ask how. Think of all the people guaranteed a good time now. Ava's called the hungry to her. Open up the doors. Never been a fun like the Foundation Ava Perron. And the money kept rolling in all directions. To the poor, to the weak, to the destitute of all complexions. Now cynics claim a little of the cash has gone astray. But that's not the point, my friends. When the money keeps rolling in, you don't keep books. You can tell you've done well by the happy, grateful looks. Accountants only slow things down. Figures get in the way. Never been a lady they loved as much as Ava Perron. Everyone has to give to this charity. They portray it like it's not really a choice because her husband controls the government. It's like a tax. And Ava embezzles this money. She embezzles the funds, but she does help the people. That is something Smegs would not do. She does help the people with some of the money. She brings clean water to villages that didn't have it, electricity. The peasants obviously love her for this. And as she's traveling through, the villages, these poor villages, she throws actual cash money out the windows of the trains to the peasants who are waiting there to greet her. Amazing. she does do that. She embezzles, but she does give back. Now, could you see Meg hanging out the side of a train or a car? Or no, I'm sorry. Could you see Smegs hanging out the side of her Cadillac Escalade, throwing money to the people? Absolutely not. She would put it in her pocket, but she wouldn't put it in anybody else's. So, all right. The people love her so much for helping them, the peasants, the poor people. They have pictures of her hanging up in their homes. Like in England, people have pictures of the Queen hanging in theirs. So, peasants love her. She then gets her husband to name her for vice president. They say in that everyone, the aristocrats and the military and all of them sing, that is an unacceptable, out of the question, over the top suggestion. The movie suggests that she turns a blind eye to the real suffering of the people that her husband's policies are causing. People are being beaten in the streets, and they say that, she's turning a blind eye. Why try to help the country when you can become a saint? That's what Che, Antonio Banderas' character, says to her. Why try to help people when you can become a saint? So she passes out again. She has a delusional dream. And now I think the delusional dream, she says, I think that she wants to give the poor a magical moment or two, she says. And I think what she means by that is she thinks by decorating herself with all the jewels, fur, dresses, all that stuff, she's giving the poor a magical moment or two because they get to see her bask in her glory. She used to be poor, now look at her. So it's not about raising them or the whatever. It's about bettering herself so they can see that they can be better. Good one. That's quite coy, quite sly. So she finds out that she's dying, of course, and she gives a speech on the balcony of the palace where she declines the vice presidency, but she doesn't say that she's dying. The speech is the only one where she gives a Catholic hand gesture, a subtle Catholic hand gesture at the very end. She's too weak to give one. So she can barely stand also. And the movie implies that she traded her years for fame, and then she passes away. So, as you can see, to wrap up, there are many parallels. The beginning of the life, not so much, but their rise to the top, that social climb, bingo, bango, exactly the same. Climbing each rung to a different man, to a different level, sounds just like her at 100%. Absolutely. And she wants to get involved in politics, so does Smegs. If Harry was elected president, Meghan would want to be vice president. So, Lord forbid that ever happens. So, anyway, yeah, as you see, many, many parallels between Evita and Smegs. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification button. I really appreciate all of you. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.